against North Carolina in the semifinal of the 31st Annual NCAA Basketball Championship. Carolina's Tar Heels were making their third consecutive appearance in the final round of 4. In contrast, this was the first exposure to postseason play for the Big Ten champions from Purdue. Rick Mount gave the Boilers a quick advantage. Jerry Tuttle put the Tar Heels in front for the only time, 4-2. It became evident early that Mount was to hold a hot hand. The first of 26 costly turnovers would prove Carolina's undoing. Purdue guards Rick Mount and Bill Keller accounted for 20 of the Boilers' first 22 points. Charlie Scott, number 33, the Tar Heels All-American, was having his troubles. But Rick Mount, Purdue's All-American, simply could not miss. Purdue was dominating the boards. Larry Weatherford's driving layup made the score 26-18 Boilers. Rusty Clark started a Carolina comeback. After trailing by as many as 11 points, Charlie Scott cut Purdue's advantage to 39-35 at halftime. For the Tar Heels to win, they would have to contain Mount and Keller, who combined for 27 points in the first half. In the second half, Rick Mount, who averaged more than 33 points per game during the season, continued his torrid pace. Charlie Scott hit the open man, Bill Bunting. Mount's spectacular shooting style enabled him to arch the ball over taller Tar Heel defenders. Turnovers continued to plague Carolina. And so did Rick Mount. Scott still couldn't find the range. The versatile Mount rebounded and fed George Faber on the Boilermakers' fast break. Keller's jumper made it 59-44. Carolina's inability to work the ball inside was its downfall. Every turnover put the Tar Heels further in the hole. Faber had found he could drive against a loose Carolina defense. One more problem for Coach Dean Smith's Tar Heels. When Carolina was successful in getting the ball into Rusty Clark, it usually meant 2 points. But Purdue was too far in front. Herman Gilliam made it 76-54. For Rick Mount, this was a game to remember. He had hit 14 of 28 shots from the field and was 8 for 9 from the foul line for 36 points. The Boilermaker victory was born in the backcourt. Guard Bill Keller, number 24, combined with Mount to score 56 points. Underdog Purdue staged the upset of the tournament, overwhelming North Carolina 92-65.
Burn that energy. Build a roaring thirst. Then put an ice-cold Pepsi-Cola to work. Instant zap. And nothing tastes as good as this one. Put it to the taste.
Taste that beats the others cold. Pepsi pours it on. Pepsi's got that special taste created for the cold. The cold turns on that Pepsi light. Taste Pepsi-Cola, come alive. Taste that beats the others cold. Pepsi pours it on. Taste that beats the others cold. Pepsi pours it on.
In the second semifinal, unheralded Drake University, sporting a 24-4 record, would try to prevent mighty UCLA from becoming the first team ever to win 3 consecutive national championships. Drake's dilemma was no different from that of every UCLA opponent. Stop Lou Alcindor. But how? The big man controlled the backboards. Curtis Rowe hit as the Bruins streaked to a quick advantage. In the early going, Drake appeared nervous and awed by Alcindor and his veteran teammates who were accustomed to tournament pressure. Dolph Pulliam got the Bulldogs' first basket, but they trailed 11-2. Drake refused to panic and began to pull itself together on the outside shooting of its star, Willie McCarter. Aggressive defense, one of Drake's trademarks, can have its disadvantages. The Bulldogs found themselves in team foul trouble early. In the first half, Alcindor would convert 9 of 13 free throws. Yet with Alcindor at the line, the Bulldogs had freedom under the boards. This, in turn, helped set up their fast break offense. Drake's quickness was apparent at both ends of the court and began to result in UCLA mistakes. The Bulldogs capitalized on these errors. Don Draper cut the Bruin lead to 23-18. Against UCLA, you seldom get a second shot, for Mr. Alcindor owns the boards. Guard John Vallely began to spark the UCLA offense. When Alcindor missed, Vallely was in position to pick up the pieces. But Alcindor's misses proved few and far between. Behind the brilliant outside shooting of Willie McCarter, the Bulldogs rallied to tie the score. Lou Alcindor and Curtis Rowe combined on a classic rendition of the old give and go. In the first half, Drake justified his reputation as a scrappy ball-hawking team. They dove and scrambled for loose balls, and it paid off when Willie Wise narrowed the gap to 41-39 at halftime. Drake's momentum carried into the second half when reserve center Rick Wanamaker blocked Alcindor's layup. Pulliam's pass to an open Willie Wise gave the Bulldogs the lead 45-44. The Bruins, following suit, hit an open Alcindor. Triggered by an alert defense, Drake broke Willie McCarter free. The game was tied again. With 6 minutes to play, Drake suffered through a disastrous cold spell during which the Bulldogs went almost 3 full minutes without scoring a field goal. In the midst of this lapse, Alcindor swept the backboards. Height scored on a fast break, and the Bruins had raced to a 10-point lead. Drake had another hang-up. The Bulldogs were in foul trouble once again. It was the free throws that eventually beat them. John Vallely scored 11 points on free throws, most of them coming on the one-on-one situations. It was Vallely who carried the Bruins in the second half to lead all scorers with 29 points. But Drake would not surrender. McCarter led a last-minute desperation drive. A costly interception. And another McCarter bucket. And suddenly it was 83-80. With only 18 seconds remaining, McCarter was short, but Pulliam was in position to follow. At this point, Drake made a fatal tactical error. The Bulldogs failed to foul Alcindor on the throw-in, and the Bruins used up precious time before Lynn Shackelford was fouled at the buzzer. UCLA earned a narrow victory. Drake had scored 4 more field goals than the Bruins, but free throws told the story. In the words of Bruin coach John Wooden, "I feel like I've had a reprieve." Sold out a year in advance, the NCAA championship drew some 37,000 fans, plus millions more on national television. In the consolation game for third place, it was Drake versus North Carolina. Charlie Scott, the Tar Heels' brilliant All-American forward, was back in form.
Five-point lead for Drake. 12-10 on the first half.
In this game, Scott's 35 points earned him a berth on the all-tournament team. But it was the Drake Bulldogs who had captured the hearts of the fans with their run-and-gun style of play. Fantastic shooting by all-tournament guard Willie McCarter led Drake to an impressive third-place finish. In the title game, UCLA would attempt to accomplish a feat still unheard of in college basketball: win 3 consecutive national championships. All that remained, beat Purdue. When Rick Mount hit his first shot, the Boilermakers led. The Bruins knew they must get the ball into Alcindor, and Kenny Heights did it. Harassed by the close guarding Heights, Mount still found the hoop. But Alcindor matched him point for point. For the rest of the half, Rick Mount would be virtually shut out. Mount would miss his next 15 shots. UCLA coach John Wooden was asked about the Heights-Mount matchup.
Heights didn't hang his head, kept working hard, played him the way we hoped to really force him and let him drive around and take a look at Lewis when he gets around him. And if he gets in too close, we didn't feel that he felt that he might have to arch it a little higher than he's accustomed to, and probably wouldn't hit as well. I would imagine he didn't hit his season percentage. I feel that every point that Mount got under his season average should be counted up to Kenny Heights.
Lou Alcindor comments further.
Yeah, I was out on Mount a couple of times, but really I was just out there trying to help Kenny. And when Kenny got caught behind the pick, I would move out and, try and slow Mount up enough for Kenny to get back, and then I'd try and go back to the board. Not too many people have taken notice of, but we've won a lot of games on our defense. We've made teams shoot much worse than their normal average. And, it's not that they had a bad night. I think we forced them on.
While Purdue and Mount were enduring their scoring famine, Lou Alcindor was doing his thing and drawing the foul to boot. Big Lou made it a three-point play. Alcindor was overpowering, scoring 18 of the Bruins' first 31 points. Purdue was forced to shoot from the outside. Keller hit. So did Gilliam in a brief Boilermaker rally. UCLA's Bill Sweet caught the Boilers napping. The Bruins' fast break with John Vallely at the throttle gave UCLA a 42-31 halftime ball. Playing Coach John Wooden's disciplined style to perfection, the Bruins worked the ball into Lynn Shackelford. In the second half, Rick Mount regained his famous shooting touch. Depth has been a keynote in UCLA's championship reign. The Bruins' sixth man, Bill Sweet, number 45, just won't give up. At this stage, Mount was enjoying more freedom than he did during the entire first half. Herman Gilliam's rebound and full court pass found Mount open again. But Purdue still had a long way to go. The teams were trading baskets, and it was Big Lou's turn. Curtis Rowe off the high post to Bill Sweet. In the face of unbelievable defensive pressure, Mount still found his way to the basket for a three-point play. On the surface, it would appear that Lou Alcindor has it all his own way. But this isolated study points up the physical abuse that big men often endure. Should they choose to retaliate, it frequently results in a foul. If Lou Alcindor feels frustration, don't feel sorry for him, but rather you should pity Purdue. For Alcindor dominated this game from beginning to end. He grabbed 20 rebounds and scored 37 points as UCLA humbled the Boilermakers 92-72.
We know how to win. I get one. We won the first one. Probably we haven't had much experience, but we know how to win.
Championships are won by superior athletes, inspired by outstanding coaches. UCLA had both of these elements during the Alcindor-Wooden era. In the 3 years that Wooden coached Alcindor, the Bruins won 88 games while losing only 2, and did what no team had done before. They won 3 consecutive national championships. On each occasion, Big Lou had been chosen the tournament's most valuable player, another first. Twice, John Wooden was honored as Coach of the Year. An unforgettable era, with its incredible pressures, had ended. Lou Alcindor explained.
We had a hard time in the fact that all the teams that we played, they had an emotional advantage on us because we weren't supposed to lose. They had nothing to lose. We were the only ones that had anything to lose. And it was kind of hard, just approaching the game from that mental viewpoint. But I think we got it together today.
This was another banner year for college basketball, and these All-Americans led the way. At guard, Rick Mount, a junior from Purdue, who fired the Boilermakers to their first Big Ten title in 30 years. Mount's shooting helped Purdue lead the nation in scoring. Rick's trademark, the long arching jumper, will be seen again next season when he returns to spearhead the Boilermakers. At forward from North Carolina, another junior, Charlie Scott. A starter on the gold medal U.S. Olympic team, Charlie has the jumping ability of a forward with the speed of a guard. Charlie's versatile play sparked the Tar Heels to their 3rd straight Atlantic Coast Conference title. A product of the New York City playgrounds, Scott will be back in '70. After graduation, he hopes to enter law school. The other forward, another U.S. Olympic standout and only a sophomore, 6'9", Spencer Haywood of Detroit. Averaging just under 32 points per game, Haywood was 4th in the nation in scoring. Spencer's forte was his backboard strength, combining muscle and agility. He was the nation's #1 rebounder. Described by Olympic coach Hank Iba as potentially the game's greatest star, Haywood, a radio TV major, has 2 more seasons at Detroit. At guard from Louisiana State University, the fastest gun in the country, Pistol Pete Maravich. A junior, Maravich has led the nation in scoring for 2 seasons, averaging better than 44 points per game. His father, who also happens to be his coach, started Pete shooting baskets at 8 years of age, and he hasn't stopped since. A colorful, flashy player, Pete's ambition is to play on an SEC championship team. At center, the player of the year, if not all time, Louis Ferdinand Alcindor, whose long arm has taken UCLA to an unprecedented 3 national titles. At 7 feet 1 3/4 inches, Alcindor has unselfishly sacrificed personal glory in the interest of team championships. No big man has ever dominated the sport in the Alcindor manner. 1969 marks the end of an era, the era of Lou Alcindor.